What if I told you that your smartphone, your electric car, your camera, your home appliances, and even your country's missile defense systems all depend on a handful of obscure minerals you've probably never heard of? And what if I told you that one country, China, controls nearly all of them? This isn't a sci-fi plot. This is happening right now. Welcome to the Rare Earth War, where the next global conflict won't be fought with bombs, but with minerals. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why rare earths might be the most powerful and dangerous resources of the 21st century. So, what are rare earth elements? They're a group of 17 metals with unusual magnetic, heat-resistant, and chemical properties. You'll hear names like neodymium, dysprosium, terbium, and yttrium. They sound obscure, yet they are inside almost every piece of modern technology. Electric vehicle motors rely on neodymium magnets. Wind turbines need terbium and dysprosium for magnets that can withstand intense heat. Smartphones and laptops use lanthanum and yttrium. Lasers, satellites, and missile guidance systems depend on yttrium and erbium. Rare earths are truly the building blocks of our civilization. The market for these elements is booming. According to global research groups, the rare earth market is expected to skyrocket in the coming years. Why? Because EVs, green energy, AI servers, and robotics are consuming more rare earths than ever before. Some forecasts predict that by 2030, the world will need 6 times more rare earths than it does today. And that's where we face a very dangerous problem. How did China manage to take total control? Back in the 1980s and 90s, Western nations like the US had their own active rare earth mines. But refining these minerals is expensive, toxic, and politically unpopular. China saw an opportunity. In 1992, Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping famously declared, "The Middle East has oil. China has rare earths." China then poured subsidies into the industry, allowed cheap labor, relaxed environmental laws, and invested billions in refining technology. This wasn't just business. It was a long-term strategy. The result today: China mines 70% of the world's rare earth ore and controls over 90% of the global refining process. Even if another country mines rare earths, they often still have to ship them to China for processing. This gives China a strategic chokehold on the world economy, something more powerful than oil in the 1970s. And this control is now being used as a weapon. Imagine it's April 2025. China suddenly adds several key rare earth elements to its export control list, specifically those essential for high-performance magnets. Overnight, exports drop by 75%. Electric vehicle manufacturers panic. Tech companies freeze production lines. Defense agencies issue urgent threat assessments. The official reason from China: routine licensing adjustments. But unofficially, it's a direct retaliation against US and EU tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles and batteries. China is sending a clear message. You attack our car industry, it will attack your rare earth supply. Beijing knew its own companies would suffer temporary losses, but it didn't care. The goal was to show the world that it had no alternative. As China tightened its grip, the global supply chain, already fragile, began to show cracks in other places, Myanmar, for instance. It's an unexpected giant in the rare earth world, supplying nearly half of the world's heavy rare earths like dysprosium and terbium. But in early 2025, civil war erupted in its key mining regions. Rebel groups seized mines and Chinese-backed operations shut down. Beijing responded immediately with diplomatic pressure, economic incentives, and even quiet military support. Why? Because without a stable supply from Myanmar, China's own rare earth empire becomes vulnerable. While this chaos unfolded, India decided to step forward. In mid-2025, India launched new domestic magnet manufacturing facilities, expanded its state-owned rare earth production, and announced plans to stop exporting raw rare earths, choosing to refine them locally instead. India's goal is to transform itself from a simple supplier into a strategic powerhouse. Other countries like Vietnam, Brazil, Kazakhstan, and Australia are also entering the race, rapidly expanding their own exploration and refining projects. But they all face the same colossal barrier. Processing rare earths is brutally difficult, and China has a 30-year head start. The West is fighting back, but it's a race against time. The United States has declared rare earths a national security priority. It restarted the Mountain Pass mine in California, issued millions in federal grants for magnet manufacturing, and accelerated recycling programs. To give you some perspective, a single F-35 fighter jet uses about 400 kilograms of rare earths. Without them, America's air superiority could collapse. The European Union passed the Critical Raw Materials Act, which requires 15% of its rare earths demand to be met through recycling by 2030. It is also building new refineries and forming strategic partnerships with Canada and Australia. But new facilities take years to build. And to make matters worse, China has banned the export of its rare earth refining technology, making it nearly impossible for any other country to replicate its expertise. The world is fighting back, but China still holds the high ground. The market has already felt the shockwaves. Neodymium prices jumped 57% year-over-year. Dysprosium prices doubled after China's export restrictions. Electric vehicle companies have had to postpone deliveries. Wind turbine contracts have stalled. And major tech companies are warning investors of slower innovation. Analysts now warn that we may be heading toward the world's first tech recession caused not by banks or stock markets, but by a shortage of minerals. So, what would happen if China decided to cut the world off completely? This isn't just a hypothetical scenario. China cut off supplies to Japan in 2010 and restricted exports to the US and EU more recently. A full embargo is the next logical step. That happens, electric vehicle production would collapse. The expansion of wind energy would freeze. Fighter jets and missiles would face critical shortages. The prices of smartphones, laptops, and cameras would skyrocket. Global inflation would explode, and humanity's green future could be delayed by a decade or more. The world has never been more vulnerable, but there is a search for solutions. First, mining outside of China. Projects in the US, Australia, India, and Canada are expanding, but refining remains the biggest bottleneck. Second, recycling and urban mining. New AI-driven e-West hubs are starting to recover rare earths from old phones, motors, and turbines. This could eventually reduce our dependence by up to 30%. Third, developing substitutes. Scientists are working on alternatives like special metal alloys and ceramic-based magnets that don't require rare earths. But these are still years away from mass adoption. Finally, strategic stockpiles and alliances. The US and EU are building up their reserves, while countries like India, Vietnam, and Canada are forming new trade pacts. The world is preparing for a long, strategic contest. Rare earth elements are the invisible foundation of our modern world. And right now, one nation controls the minerals that power everything from our smartphones to our fighter jets. The rare earth war has already begun. As nations race to secure their future, alliances will shift, economies will tremble, and new technologies will emerge. The question is simple: who will control the elements that control the world? The battle for the future has only just begun. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video insightful, do not forget to like and subscribe to Sheer Knowledge TV for more deep dives into the forces shaping our world.